Hello, I'm here today speaking with Geoff and Di East from the beautiful Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Geoff and Di, thank you so much for being on Silver Sages sharing stories. I know you have a wonderful story and I'm looking forward to having you share it with other people. Di and Geoff have a wonderful couple of businesses, Photo Pros Creative and Photo Pros Travel. And it's a wonderful combination of their skills. But before we go on to what you're doing currently, I'd love you both to tell us what you were doing in your previous life before you went into this wonderful hybrid semi-retirement.
I think I'll take that one, Jenny. Thanks for inviting us. When we were working and paying tax in the good old days, we were both working in the corporate property sector. Di was in commercial leasing, and I was in commercial project management and development management. And after years of climbing the rungs of the corporate ladder, we decided just to jump off. So in 2016, we went for a sabbatical, we called it, a sailing adventure off to New Caledonia and Vanuatu. And that sort of was the catalyst for us to say, we're not going back to that corporate life again.
Excellent.
So we didn't. And we decided that what we would really like doing is we both love travel. Di loves photography. I like talking, as you probably gather. And so we thought, let's combine them together. I went back to work once we got home for a little while. And Di went to uni for the first time and did a graduate diploma in photography at the College of Billy Blue in Brisbane. And she never really intended us to have a photography business. It sort of kind of happened. It was a nice thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, all of the assignments were really based about how you would put them into a business. And when we got to the business plan, which is a fair amount of work, and so we thought, well, if we're going to put, if I'm going to put all this work into doing a business plan, what would we do if we could do something? And so I had a chat to Geoff in the car one day, and he said, and surprised me, and said, well, what I would really like to do is to have something where I write and you do photography. And okay, that sounds good to me. And so from there we built up and thought, well, all right, if we're going to do it, what would that look like? And really, our preference was to do travel photography and to get the magic of being sent to review travel destinations. But of course, I put that to my lecturers and they were like, yeah, like everybody in the world with a camera wants that job. So we did do that, but then we thought, all right, let's put that in there, but then do a second stream that would be, probably end up being the real stream, and if not, be a backup. So the second part was to do family photography and do things like day in your life and lifestyle photography, perhaps photo books where Geoff could do the writing. So that was that part of it. And the way it's turned out, the travel's the one that's taken off the most. And we've been very lucky to have been invited. I had to a trip to South Africa, which I did, fully paid with a lot of writing and photography at the end of it.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, and Geoff we were both invited on a luxury trip on the Silver Muse. Do you want to talk about that scene?
Yeah, well, that was pretty amazing because that was my first ever cruise, and fortunately it finished just before this COVID thing sort of got out of China. So it was pretty amazing from Singapore to Darwin, 8 days, and it's 5, if not 6-star. It's fantastic. So I had this lovely king-size suite all to myself. It was rather pleasant.
Bad luck, Di.
And got to meet a whole lot of interesting people from around the world. Interestingly enough, no children. And it's quite strange for us. We now live in a resort, as you know, up the Sunshine Coast. And normally it's full of children. But again, with this lockdown, we're missing children. And it's one of the things I think that Di and I both share is we love traveling, but we love our family and we love other families as well. And that whole thing of let's do photo pros creative and photo pros travel is to combine the words and the photos so that you've got a piece of nostalgia or family heritage that can last for generations. And that's the point of difference that we sort of consciously went out to offer to the market, to say, well, anybody can take a really good photo. There's lots of good, any really good photographer can take a really good photo. And anybody who's good with a pen can write some good words, but putting them together to tell a complete story, that the travel blogging through Starts at 60 has given us that opportunity to really explore that together.
Yes.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We moved up here, as you probably know, at the start of March. And as we know what happened on the 13th of March, the whole world went pear-shaped and locked down. So we've been stuck here and a bit isolated, which is not too shabby because it's a really nice spot to be stuck. But it's given us the opportunity to really explore the travel writing. We've done it from recent trips that we've done. And our last 3 blogs have done very well. So I think we're starting to hit the nail on the head and find the sweet spot of a bit of nostalgia, a bit of interest, travel tips, great photos, which Di always puts in, and it's starting to work for us.
That is fantastic. Your posts have certainly been very interesting, and I've always loved Di's photography. Discovering that Geoff was a writer was a lovely discovery when you started doing this. I know you've been very adventurous along the way, so a lot of your photographs not only tell stories of your travel, but they also sometimes show photos, or often show photos of your adventures. Tell people about your recent adventure at the lighthouse. You really did just get home in time, didn't you?
Well, we could have stayed there. It was a great place to be isolated. We spent a month at Busted Head Lighthouse Station, which is situated between Gladstone and town of 1770. And that actually came out of our love of sailing as well. A lot of our opportunities have come out of sailing. The reason that we got the lighthouse gig was that Di abandoned me and went off on this wonderful trip to South Africa, and I had 2 weeks on my own, very dangerous. So I anchored in Pancake Creek and wandered up to the Busted Head Lighthouse Station, got chatting, as I do, with the light keepers up there, and they told me how to get involved. So after contacting Stuart Buchanan, we thought, well, that'd be really good. We'd love to do this, because the role of the light keepers up there now is basically caretakers. The light is automatic, but there is the most fabulous museum up there of all things that are now lost in history associated with lighthouse stations.
May I just have a small interruption?
Yeah.
It's worth knowing that Geoff is a major history buff.
Yes,
and so no, you're not. But so anything that has history has his interest straight away.
Yeah.
And while we were there, he discovered how good he was as a tour guide. And he was amazing. He would stand up there, had his conversation, and what he was going to tell them was perfect, and everybody was all ears. So yeah, history was the grab for him, as well as obviously having that beautiful view on the lighthouse.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that was
1 second. Pause. Di, when you move your head, I'm getting a white sort of reflection behind you. Do you know what's causing that?
I do. But what we can do, it's because I've got the background, the Zoom, I've got a background set up.
Okay. Just keep your head fairly still, because when you're still, it's just a slight white at the side. But when you're not, or even if you could move a little tiny bit closer to Geoff, I think the white part's only coming where yeah, that's better. The white part was more obvious because of the curtain.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, because the background was terrible. So I thought,
that's really weird. I'll show you the uncut version, Geoff, when you had your drink of water.
Yeah, yes. I know what happens. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do a clap and then we'll go back into it. You were just saying about the Busted Head Lighthouse.
Yeah, so we're talking about the museum there, and without, it's a story in itself, so we won't go into it, but it has fantastic memorabilia from the 134 years that was an active light station with light keepers and families.
Yeah, so we'll leave that then. I'll go to another question now, so it's not an awkward thing, okay? You've also given some really interesting insights into some of the country towns that you visited. For instance, a lovely visit to Maryborough. I enjoyed reading about that very much. Is that something that you hope to do further, not just travelling overseas, which is perhaps off the agenda at the moment?
Sure. We're happy to travel anywhere. When we first started doing the blogs, they asked, there was an option of where would they send us, or would we get any trips, or how would that work? And we're thinking, well, you know what, the first trip they'll send us somewhere like Ipswich or somewhere really close and somewhere unexpected. And we're happy with that. There are things everywhere you go in Australia. There are little towns and big towns with all sorts of interesting things. Mm-hmm. And so we're absolutely planning to do more in Australia. And Geoff has some plans of going back to Maryborough and doing even more there, because we didn't have enough time to see all of the interesting information and that they have there.
I think it's one of the great things that is going to come out, the positives that will come out of this COVID lockdown, is that people will start realising, well, we have a great country to explore. We can't go overseas for the foreseeable future, probably not for 12 months at least. So people are going to get up and go, and hopefully it'll be something that really touches everybody's interest. So we're really going to do that. One of the bonuses for us, we're talking about how young we are, still 19 in these old bodies. One of the advantages of being this age is that most travellers are our age. People that are younger have got kids at school, well, sometimes at school, they've got mortgages, they've got jobs, they can only get so many holidays. Whereas for us, we can go anywhere at the drop of a hat, and we do. And that's how we got involved with Starts at 60. They basically said, can you go next week? And the answer was, of course. So that's been a wonderful bonus for us. The other side of it is that people our age like to hear from people our age.
Yes.
They like to know, can I get up the stairs with my, dodgy knee and all that sort of stuff. So that's where it's been quite interesting. You suddenly have an audience because people our age, some people are less adventurous, some people have medical issues to deal with, and they want to know, can I do it? And will it be fun?
That's a very positive aspect of ageism. Have you experienced any negatives?
Not negatives as such. We've never had anybody not employ us, as far as we know, because of our age. When I was studying, there was quite a funny story that definitely relates to ageism. And we had a model in the studio where we're taking photos. We had lights set up, and our lecturer said to me, Di, can you just take a couple of steps back? Which I did. And as I stepped back, I felt the frame of one of the big softbox lights. And there was only going to be two options. The light was going or I was going. And so I thought, well, I can just sort of roll, and I went backwards, landed very undignified. But we had this young model who was sitting there watching, and the whole time I could see her face, and she was horrified. She's like, the look on her face was like, oh my goodness, the old lady's had a fall. Oh my goodness.
Broken hip coming up.
and if that had been one of the other younger students, they would have just laughed at them. And I'm not offended or anything like that. It was funny, but it sort of demonstrates that people do think of you differently, even if we don't. But we haven't had any other issues with our age, no.
That's great. It's a positive thing for you, as you said, given, and also your experience. Are you going to do any posts about your fantastic yachting adventures?
Well, we'd be giving away everything if we told you that, wouldn't we? But
okay.
yes, the answer
I won't ask any more questions.
Well, no, we are going to do one. One of the things that we look at our own travels and go, so what's relevant now? And one of the things that's relevant is, of course, once we get this Tasman bubble going, well, great, we'll be able to go across to New Zealand, and there's a story there. But halfway to New Zealand is the beautiful Lord Howe, which is the southernmost tropical island in the world.
Yes.
And we've got a great sailing adventure to talk about there.
Fantastic. That is wonderful. Di, I just would like to go back to your going to Billy Blue to do your course. I know that was a big undertaking for you, and it was a year where you were terribly busy and very challenged by what you did. How do you feel now looking back on what you gained from that experience?
Wow, it was immeasurable. Personally, it was something I've always wanted to do. I don't really think that I had the opportunity to study when I was younger. I know I could have made it happen some way, but it didn't fit in with what was happening and with family and that sort of thing. So I've always wanted to study more. And having the chance to go back and work in a creative field rather than, you know, the more corporate sort of thing was an absolute bonus. It was just wonderful. It was a lot of hard work. There were a lot of assignments, and I could see no reason just going in and fluffing my way through it when I waited so long for it. So I did put a lot in. But it was a fabulous experience, and I would recommend it to anybody.
I love the fact that you went into it because you wanted to, because you were fascinated by what you could learn. And then from that, this business has evolved. Tell me a little bit about how the two of you negotiated the roles that you would have in this business. And I know that it doesn't take over your whole life. It's just a part of your life that fits in with the sailing and going to the beach and the grandchildren and everything else. So, you know, making that very clear to people, you're not working full time. You have literally a lifestyle business. So how did you negotiate what part of the business each one of you would play?
It's more or less fell into place based on skills. Certainly, if there's writing, Geoff does it first. If there's photography, I do it first, unless the other can't for some reason. Like when he did the cruise, I didn't go with him because our grandson was sick. And so he took photos there, and then I edited them, did that part when he got home, and they came out well. But in general, it's been fairly automatic when it comes to accounting, management, that side of things. Probably I do most of it. Yeah, can you add more to that?
No, it really, as Di said, it's a natural blend of our skill sets. I'm a rotten photographer, but I do like to write. And my big challenge is to keep everything concise because I rattle on forever, particularly if it's a history subject. But for Di has the eye for photography that I'll never have if I live to be 100. So, you know, it's obvious that you put the right person forward. And in fact, when the opportunity came up for us to go to South Africa, they said, "Oh, Geoff, you're the one to go because we want a really good story." And we resisted and said, no, you want fantastic photos. We'll write the story when she gets home. And that's what we did. I went because she came back with amazing photos that I would never have got.
Yes.
So, you know, you sort of got to look at what's right for the skill set. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. And when it comes to the other things like sales and marketing and all those sorts of things, we are a little casual because it is part-time business. But it's either or. It's whoever. We both do part each depending where we are and what's happening. Yeah.
And we set ourselves very modest goals for the business. We didn't sort of think, well, this is going to have to make us the equivalent salary that we used to get in the corporate world, because we've had that sort of pressure in our life, and what's the point? You know, we've got 9 grandchildren. We don't want to not know them.
That's right.
We want to see them grow up. We both like traveling. That doesn't have to always be work. And we just sort of thought, well, look, if it was something that sort of kept us busy 2 days a week, that'd be nice. Now, sometimes it's 5 days a week, sometimes it's 7 days a week, and sometimes it's nothing. It just varies, you know, depending on what's going on.
Wonderful.
Certainly the last couple of weeks have been.
So is there anything you wish you'd known when you started this venture?
Yes, I wish I'd known how to have a better business plan and a better business marketing plan, I suppose. We're still not very strong in that score in terms of promoting ourselves, and yet we have as we were talking over the breakfast table this morning, a point of difference that we should be highlighting to people all the time. It's slowly getting there by word of mouth, but we've not been as good on SEOs and that sort of thing as we should. So a little bit more background there would have been useful.
And would you say that's been the biggest struggle in the business? Is basically you've really both gone from having a specific area that you worked in to, like most people in small business, needing to have a bit of skill, a lot of skill in one area and a bit of skill in many other areas. Has that been the part that you found difficult?
Finding the niche has been the hard bit, I think.
Okay.
And as we say, the travel, we both get really excited about travel, so it becomes our focus, but it doesn't come around every weekend.
No, but the travel is doing well, and we really have there's not a lot we change about that, is there? No. But the family type side of the business, I guess we don't focus as much on it because it was our second choice, although we love doing it. Yeah. And then moving up to the coast, we've set ourselves back a bit as well. But
our timing's been beautiful. We got here and then everybody locked down, so nobody's doing anything.
Yeah. Enjoy it as a holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have also found that up here there are a lot of small businesses, and there seems to be a bit more interest in business photography, doing branding sessions for people and headshots, that sort of thing. Yeah. So I think there's going to be a little bit of, I don't know whether we do less focus on that and just sort of broaden our market, or whether it wanders off more into that direction. I guess, we'll work on both and see how that goes.
So is there anything that you'd love to tell us about that we haven't covered?
The things that we're most proud of, I think, is one of the things about what we've done is that, okay, we haven't made $1 million, we never set out to anyway, but it would have been nice. But that's not something to be proud of. The thing that we're really proud of is every product that we get excited by it. We look at it and go, oh, wow. And so we're so proud of it to send it to somebody. We never cringe and go, oh, do you think it's good enough? It's always, Di is a perfectionist with the photos. We argue, sorry, we don't argue, we debate about the words over and over and over and over again until we sort of go mad. But the products that we produce, the photo books and even the travel blogs, are fantastic legacy products. They're things that people can enjoy for generations to come. And that's what we set out to do. So it's kind of like, great, it's all working as far as we're concerned.
That's
be nice if we had more money, but who cares?
So when you're not taking your photographs and you're not traveling, what's your everyday life like now that you've moved to the Sunshine Coast? Your retirement life, really?
Well, we live in an apartment block with a tennis court, 3 swimming pools, a hot spa, a sauna, and the beach. Well, I can see the surf from here as I look out the door. And we have bicycles. We've been doing a lot of activity, which has been great fun. We've got grandchildren in Caloundra, which is close by, and we've just agreed to have our 4-year-old granddaughter every Monday for the next 2 months. So that's all fun. The one thing we haven't done yet being up here because of lockdown is catch up with friends that we have up here, but it's fairly social, it's fairly active, yeah. It's seeing people, and the photography and the writing fits into that just beautifully.
In fact, we both got ourselves a bit of a gig for the body corporate up here. I'm one of the body corporate committee members, and being the shy retiring person I am, we volunteered to do a photographic dilapidation study of the whole building because it's about to be repainted. Well, it certainly turned into a big project, but Di's photography skills and my project management cum writing skills has led to that. We sort of looked at it and said, gee, maybe there's a career in this, but I don't know. I don't think it's what we want to do, really. It's just fun.
It doesn't have a lot of excitement.
No, looking at photographing air conditioning units is not as much fun as little children.
I can imagine. Look, I've been in awe of what you've done since the first time we discussed it over coffee about 2 years ago or something, and you told me what the plan was. I really congratulate you on what you've done. and I'll certainly hope that many people enjoy looking at this interview today and then go on to make contact with you about it. And I wish you all the very best with your business.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great pleasure. I'll just turn off the video, the recording.
Oh, well, good luck.